I've been lucky to have 2 of my 4 children on my podcast, and today we're going to make it lucky number 3. Let's welcome Carson Lumbattis. Sometimes life just sucks, and sometimes it freaking rocks. We will discuss all the things from family and real estate to travel and just life in general. So take a seat, or don't, you do you, and welcome to the LumBADASS podcast. So welcome to the LumBADASS podcast. You, by default, are an actual LumBADASS, so congratulations on that. I'm really excited that you are here today because I have had 2 of your 3 older brothers. Carson is the youngest of 4. He's the baby of the family. And you're kind of one of the coolest kids that I know. I'm super lucky that I get to raise somebody that's kind of cool, or not kind of cool, but really cool. I'm grateful that you're on my podcast today because I know today is a day off school. It's kind of like your first full week off for Christmas break. So thank you for getting up early and coming with me today. He told me that I have to pay him in Yogurtland. So I told him no problem. I'm like, maybe we could go to breakfast too, though, because I'm kind of hungry. Anyways. I wanted to bring you on my podcast today because I want to talk about all the things with you. You are so active. You are so involved in things. So I want to talk about that. But one of the main things that I want to talk about too are, I guess, the trials that high school kids go through, because you're a freshman in high school and you just, you've gone through 1 semester already. So we're going to be starting your 2nd semester. I want to know, how is high school different from junior high?
How it's different is like, I'll put it in like perspective, like what people usually do in junior high. Like if you found out that someone smoked in junior high, it was like a big deal. In high school, it's like, oh, like that's normal.
So smoking and stuff like that is considered normal in high school.
Yeah, like if you figure out someone smokes, it's like, oh, whatever.
Okay, the other thing that kind of boggles my mind, by the way, we talk about everything on this podcast, okay? So it's not censored. I'm not censored at home, so I don't know why you would even think that I would be censored here. But another thing that I find very compelling is sex is not that big of a deal in high school either, right?
No, usually people have crazy body counts and stuff like that.
Body counts meaning like multiple partners?
Yeah.
That is insane to me. So when I was in high school, like if you had sex, even if people knew about it, like it wasn't something that like you went around and you talked about. Like even the guys didn't really talk about it. So in high school, you find that that's just normal. Even the girls talk about it.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So like they're proud to have all these sexual partners.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That is crazy, right?
Yeah, I don't know how you can do that.
I don't either. And do you think it has to do with the way that people are raised, or do you think it has to do with like why do you think it is the way that it is?
I don't know. I think it's probably because their parents didn't have enough discipline on them, probably.
Yeah, but I've always told you guys that like there comes a point when I'm kind of coaching you through life now, right? Like I'm still your parent. I'm still your mom. I'm still going to lay down the law and be crazy when I need to be. But the other part of that is, at the end of the day, you're still going to make your own decisions, even at 14. Like if you choose to smoke weed, yeah, there's going to be consequences for your actions, and like hell hath no fury. Like, is that how you say it? Hell hath no fury. Like it's normally like a woman scorned, but it would be like a mother. I have all these sayings Janelle says I'm crazy for, but like I would definitely come down on you. But at the end of the day, you're still free in a sense to make the choices that you guys make. So what do you think it is that prevents you from making the same decisions as your peers?
Like smoking weed and stuff?
Smoking weed, doing drugs, having sex with multiple people. I mean, I know that we have values and stuff in our home that we set up. And one thing too that I feel that is maybe a good thing, we've always been very open. Like when you guys have come to the dinner table with questions that would otherwise be inappropriate, we're pretty good about answering them. And I know that you probably feel awkward sometimes when we do that, but to me, I would rather you know exactly what it is that you're talking about before you go and say something that you shouldn't say in front of somebody you shouldn't say it in front of.
Yeah, because like I wouldn't ever do that, like smoke weed or anything.
Why do you think that you would never do that though? Because it's so common. And there are many people, by the way, who do edibles and stuff like that as adults. And obviously as adults, I think that's different than kids making those decisions.
Well, some of them are like not successful. Like I know a couple of people that like their parents like kick them out of their house and stuff like that for it. And also like usually people that do that stuff, like they don't have a good home or anything.
Okay. So you think it has to do with home life?
Yeah, probably.
I also think it helps that Dad and I are home quite often. Like, we work a lot from home.
And it's also the influence of your friends too, because like who you hang out with is who you are.
That is huge. I think that was so great. So go into that more a little bit with me, because you and I have talked multiple times about friends and how you are who you hang out with. We've said this so many times. And one thing that I think is funny, because you do get into trouble with your friends, good trouble. It's not like you're doing anything too crazy. But when you guys get into the trouble that you guys get into, you guys are just having fun doing stupid shit. Yeah. But I don't know. I guess I feel like there have been times when you've come home and you're like, Mom, this person is, making these decisions and this person's doing this. Like, how do you help coach your friends to make good choices? Is that something that you do, or what are your thoughts on that?
Well, usually I try to tell them that they're not like good people to hang around with, like in the nicest way. Because like because like at school, I've had experiences where like, so I used to hang out with this one friend group, but I don't hang out with them anymore because they just talk a lot of crap on people, and including me.
Sure.
So I just decided to not hang out with them anymore. And like, there's a couple other kids that are still hanging out with them, and then they started talking crap on everyone too. Like, they just changed.
So they go from talking crap about one person to talking crap about somebody else.
Yeah, like, so say like if I was still in the friend group and you're in that friend group, I would go to like say Billy and talk crap about you, and then like Billy would say something like they just talk crap on each other behind each other's backs.
I have to be honest with you, and I know we've had this conversation before. Adults are very similar, and it's funny because I really think that it's super imperative that parents really try to break this mold, right? We only have control over ourselves. I always tell you that too. We only have control over ourselves. So while I can't control anybody else, what I can control is me, my thoughts, and my actions. So I think it's pretty cool that, you're always going to have issues with people, right? Like, even your best friend, you're going to be like, oh, they really irritated me. The difference is I think there's a lot of parents that talk crap on their friends in front of their kids. So when they lead by that example, and it might not even mean like that friend is meaning to even talk crap about that person. Like, it could be like, oh, did you see what he or she posted today? Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. And it might just be something as small as that. But when a kid hears it, they're like, oh, so when people post things that I don't like, or that I don't agree with, or that I think they're overcompensating for, then it's okay for me to go and talk shit on my friends too.
Yeah.
I'm also a firm believer of, if they're talking about other people to you, they're talking about you to other people as well.
Yeah.
So how do you find out that people are talking about you? Do you
just hear from it? Like, you'll hear about it one day.
Like, other people tell you. So your secret's safe with nobody.
Yeah, but basically, I think they do that just to like try and cause a problem, get a reaction out of you.
Sure, I agree with you.
Yeah, because like they're just, I don't know, they're just not nice.
Well, I don't even think it's a nice thing, Car. Honestly, I think it has to do with needing or wanting attention. Think about it. Like, that actually just came to me. But think about it. Like, if they're not getting the attention that they want from other friends, and they go and they stir up nonsense somewhere else, then the attention is there and the drama's there. I'm also a firm believer that there are just some people that just like drama. They always have to have some sort of nastiness in the realm. So you think that that's one of the major things that's different from junior high to high school?
Yeah.
Okay. So I feel like that's kind of like a bad thing that's different. So what's a good thing about being in high school versus being in junior high?
There's more sports and like the parties. Well, yeah. I haven't gone to a party yet, but from Connor and Jared, I heard that the parties are fun, but there's like a lot of drugs and alcohol.
There's a lot of drugs and alcohol. What kind of drugs are big in high school right now? Do you know?
Just weed, like just wax pens and stuff like that.
Wax pens. Okay. What about fentanyl? Because fentanyl right now is really big in the news. Do you hear or see a lot about that?
No, I don't think people mean to do fentanyl. I think it's because they lace it, and then that's why. So
does it ever worry you, going back to the drug conversation, does it ever worry you that if you were to try something that it might be laced with fentanyl?
No, because I would never do it.
But is that what keeps you from not doing it? Or you think you just don't?
I think it's just I think it's like the devil. Like, because usually, like, God doesn't want you to do anything bad. Mm-hmm. So I think that that's something that the devil would try and get you to do.
Tempt you with.
Yeah.
That's huge.
With the
you
experience.
Make me proud.
With the experience, too. Like, the feeling that people say that they get.
Yep.
It's a good feeling, but then you feel horrible afterwards that you did it.
Well, and I also think that it's short-lived, right? The reason why people continuously do drugs is to constantly try and get that high.
Yeah, and then when you don't get the same feeling, then you go to something bigger.
That's very true. I totally agree. Well, I'm glad. It's funny because Dad and I have never done drugs. In fact, if you're listening to this right now, I've never even smoked a cigarette. I have asthma, so I always worry that I don't always worry. I've never been into the drug scene. That was just never my thing. Even like when I was in high school at parties and stuff like that, like I didn't drink. I didn't do any of that stuff. So it's very easy for me to say, hey, you shouldn't do this stuff because I didn't. But Papa told me like, I know he's told you this too. Like the only thing he learned in high school was how to roll a tight joint. Like my dad is the craziest. He's so fun. And naturally he doesn't do this anymore. But even still, like, I feel like because I don't know. I felt like my parents were always involved and always doing the things. So I do feel like a lot of responsibility does fall on the parents. But I have to tell you, I do feel that you have a lot of responsibility and the choices that you make are setting you up for a very successful future. Now, I know being your mom that you are huge. Okay, wait. So back to the good stuff. So the good stuff in high school is that there's sports. Are the teachers better?
The teachers just don't give a crap. Like,
really?
Yeah, like you can just sit there on your phone the whole class period if you wanted to.
Is every teacher like that?
No, my language arts teacher, if you don't have your phone out, they'll take it. Like they'll give you a warning and then they'll take it the next time. But like my math, my science, Spanish, yeah, they don't care.
Really?
Yeah.
Very interesting. And you really like your language arts teacher. You have two. They co-teach. That's why. So
I like my math teacher.
You do like your math teacher too? That's awesome. I'm glad because I feel like when you like your teachers, then you tend to do better through school, and you just got your grades and you did amazing. So great job this last semester. I'm super proud of you. Especially this kid, you guys, balances it all. Like when I tell you he will come home from school and he like just gets his work done. And I don't really have to harp on you all that much. Like you get it done. He always has friends over. Our house is always full of people, including this weekend. We had a bunch of friends over and did baking and stuff with your friends, which was awesome, and their moms. But you are huge into sports. You played water polo. You made the JV team your freshman year, which is a huge thing. While that wasn't necessarily your favorite sport, you're amazing at it. And then now you're trying lacrosse. What do you think of lacrosse?
Lacrosse is definitely way better than water polo.
You think so? Why? In what ways?
It's just like similar to how hockey is. Like with the hitting and everything, it's just like an adrenaline rush.
Okay, so you actually like the physical contact that it comes with.
I like adrenaline rush sports.
That is very true. I was actually talking to one of your friends last night on social media. We were going back and forth about it, and she was like, can you please tell him to stop bleeding and stuff? Because your true love is...
Adrenaline?
No, what's your true
Oh, the BMX?
BMX, yes. Yeah. You love BMX. So tell me about your love for BMX. How did your love for BMX start?
It started when we were in Havasu. And so I remember we were on our scooters in Havasu, like a little scooter kid. And
okay, mind you, this was like what, 4 years ago. We've had the Havasu place for 4 years now, and we love going there and making memories. We bought it initially to just go and enjoy the boat, but during the wintertime, you enjoy going to the skate park. So how old were you? You were what, 10 years old?
Yeah, and I was there and I saw these guys on bikes, and I went up to them and I was like, can I try your bike? And they're like, yeah, sure. And I was riding their bike around, and then I remember we left and we came back the next day because you guys wanted to go eat at Blue Chair, so Dad told us we can go to the skate park.
Right.
And when we went back, that's when I met Gavin. And Gavin was there, and Gavin was telling me all about these bikes that I should get and stuff like that. And then we started riding bikes together, and then that's when I started. Like, it just became so fun.
That is awesome. So this kid will spend hours, you guys, at the skate park. We're going to be heading out to Havasu sometime during winter break, and he will literally spend 8, 9, 10 hours there. And it comes to a point where we're like, Carson, you have to meet us for dinner. So he'll come and he'll meet us for dinner, or him and his buddies will go grab dinner. So where are you at now in BMX? And what are your goals with BMX? Like, where do you want to be eventually?
Where am I at now?
Okay, so you started from just being on a scooter and borrowing friends' bikes.
Yeah.
To then building
my own BMX bike.
Your own BMX bike. Yeah. How did you know what parts to buy and what was the best, gloves to wear and stuff like that? Like, how do you find that stuff out?
So how I found that out is that I went on YouTube and just literally searched up random videos on BMX, and I always found this most common part. So like I just started looking up like what's like good parts meant for the park and street, and then
So there's a difference between going to the park and then riding on the street.
yeah. So like at Havasu, there's a park section, and then the bottom is street. So it's all different.
So closer to the lake that's all street?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And then park is more like bowls and stuff like that.
So usually like a park bike is more heavier. I don't know why they like heavy bikes.
Really?
Yeah, but a park bike is light, like super light. Like my bike weighs under 20 pounds.
It is really, really light, actually. I mean, you could pick it up very easily and walk around with it, no problem.
Yeah, but I think it's like that because like in park, you're flying up the ramps and then like doing flips and stuff like that. In street, you're like jumping onto a ledge and then like 360ing off of it.
Okay, I even feel though that your bike is way less than 20 pounds. I feel like it's less than 10. It's super light. Like you just pull it up.
Oh yeah, if I get titanium, but titanium is so expensive, but it breaks easily.
Oh, but it's lighter. So it's easier to do flips and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so speaking of flips, the first real big trick that you learned is how to do a flip. This kid can actually flip on his bike. It's the craziest thing. How are you not scared?
I don't know. I mean, like, what I do, okay, I learned this from someone on YouTube, I think. I can't remember which writer it was, but I think it was Pat Casey.
Okay.
And Pat Casey said that he would take his scaredness, like the adrenaline in his body, and turn it into excitement.
Okay.
And then ever since I just started doing that, and that's how like I started doing stuff like that.
That makes me really proud. That's actually a really cool saying. I think that that's great.
Yeah.
But you've fallen, like you've been flipping and have fallen pretty hard. So what keeps you going?
The motivation of what people say. Because if I stop, that's just prove them right.
Okay. So you actually have people who tell you like you can't do this and you're not going to do this?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That is insane to me. I feel like
some of my close friends too.
Really?
Yeah.
That's really sad. It's funny because we also talk about this, and I feel like, you know, when people do that and stuff, it's because they're jealous or whatever. And I hate saying that because it makes it sound like, oh, I have so much to be jealous over.
Yeah.
But to me, as I reminded you, and as I will tell all of your friends, there's enough room for everybody at the top. There is. Like that top, everybody draws like this analogy like it's a mountain, right? And when you get to the top, it's this little itty bitty point and the base is really big. The only reason the base is really, really big is because everybody congregates there because they're not willing to do the work to get to the top. It's not that the top is really that small. It's just that people aren't willing to do the work. So like I had told you, you know, everybody can be at the top. Everybody can be sponsored. Everybody can do all the things that they want to do. And it might not even come down to just biking, but in life in general. If you want a lake house and if you want rental properties and if you want a great marriage, like you can have all those things. You just have to work at every single one of them. So when people aren't willing to put in the work, I think that's why you stand out, because you are putting in the work. You'll go to the skate park for 8 hours. You'll go on a Wednesday after school. You'll go in between school and lacrosse practice. Like, there's a lot of times I call you and I'm like, who are you at the skate park with? You're like, nobody. I'm like, okay, well, we're sending somebody because I don't want you there by yourself in case anything happens. And you're like, no, Mom, there's other people here, but nobody that you know. And I think that that's nobody should be shitting on you when they're not willing to put in the work and do whatever it is to be you. And I don't mean you, Carson. I mean you in general, whoever that is.
Yeah, and like some people will be like, dude, all I have to do this is I'll get sponsored. Like, I could get sponsored so easily. Then why aren't you sponsored? Like,
sure.
I think they sponsor you for a reason because they see potential in you
in
the future. Like if you were sponsored, then you would be either have potential or you already like you're already good.
You're there already.
Yeah. So if like you're be like, oh yeah, dude, getting sponsors is easy, then why don't you do it? Like.
And that's something that's been new for you this year. And I have to give you massive credit because that's something that you kind of took the bull by the reins, the horse by the reins, the bull by the reins, bull by the horns. Yeah, bulls don't have reins, so that would make much more sense. But you took the bull by the horns and you were applying for these things and you were putting yourself out there and you're making your reels are so good. Like, they're really, really good. And I don't know how long they take you to make, but they're so good. So that I'm really proud of you for doing that. So just to throw it out there, who are a couple of your sponsorships? Because I know that you might want to give them a little bit of cred.
Yeah. So some of my sponsorships are, my first one was Action Sports Canopies.
Uh-huh.
And
what do they sell? I mean, obviously canopies, but like what kind?
So like custom canopies. So like you could put anything that you want on there. Like you could put your own design, logo, they'll make it and they'll give it to you. Like,
Are they the ones like when you go to like the monster truck shows and stuff like that? Are they the ones that are like all set up there handing out freebie stuff and things like that?
Yeah, usually.
They do those.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're sponsored by Action Sport Canopies, and who else?
And then, so my second one was ODI grips, and
And they make grips just for your handlebars?
So yeah, they make grips for your handlebars. They make like clothing, and they make dirt bike handlebars too.
Oh, okay.
So like I could get dirt bike handlebars for the dirt bike at home that we have.
Oh, okay.
And then like so I know they make grips, but they also make like different types. So like they make long ones, short ones. They make custom ones too. So like,
And that's all they do. Do they have like apparel or anything like that?
yeah, that's what like I was talking about, shirts and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
They
then
make-
who else?
Oh, and then fist handwear.
Fist handwear. And I think this is really important because when you first started BMXing, you would come home and you would have like nasty blisters and stuff like that on your hands.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize how imperative it was that you actually do have gloves to ride.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't just make BMX gloves. What other kind of gloves do they make?
Oh, they make dirt bike gloves, mountain bike gloves. They make street bike gloves. They make handiwork gloves. Like I don't know.
Do they make gloves for when you're being towed behind the boat, right? Like if you're wakeboarding?
You could use that. So the gloves that I have, they're multi-sport. So usually the ones with like that stuff.
Uh-huh.
So those are a combined glove. So it's mountain bike, dirt bike, and BMX. You can use it for all three of those. And then they make like the actual leather ones. Those ones are meant for the street. And then but you can use those ones for the water. But they also make like hot weather and cold weather gloves. So like the cold weather is for like when it's cold outside.
Yeah.
They're thicker gloves so they keep your hand warm.
Oh, that's smart.
And then the cold weather, they're more airy and they have like holes in them, kind of.
Uh-huh.
So that it keeps your hands nice and cold during the hot weather.
I love it. Okay, so with BMX, what are your goals? What are you going to be working on this next year to further enhance that, aside from staying off drugs and not drinking alcohol, so you can be the best you can be?
Yeah, so this year I want to, we're going to start competing like at Woodward and like wherever their competitions are at USA Freestyle BMX and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
And then like older, if I get really good, then my goals are to be competing in X Games or the Olympics.
That would be awesome. I don't think I realized that they were in the Olympics. I thought it was just X Games.
2024 or 2020, they got the Olympics.
Oh, in 2020.
Yeah, and then that's when Logan Martin won the first X Games gold medal. And he's an Australian rider that rides for Rockstar.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
And do you have any goals when it comes to additional sponsorships and stuff that you want?
Like, who do I want next?
Yeah.
So I recently applied for Monster Army and GoPro.
Oh, very cool. When do you find out about them?
So GoPro said 17 days and Monster Army said 2 months because of how many people apply.
Okay, I would imagine.
Yeah.
And I know you're really excited about one of those in particular.
Monster Army?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of fun too.
Yeah, because if you get Monster Army, they kind of pay for everything.
I love it. So last question about BMX. Because I think in anything that anybody does, you always have somebody that you look up to, somebody that you like really just think, okay, you're like my mentor. Like, I think the world of you. I think you're not only a great human, but you're good at what your craft is. Like for me in real estate, like, I love Tom Ferry. Like, Tom Ferry. I mean, Tom Ferry by like, if you hear his voice, you're like, oh, that's Tom Ferry. So obviously, like, that's somebody that is constantly, on my podcast, meaning like on my podcast and my radio, not physically here on my podcast. But Tom, if you're interested, you're more than welcome. But who's somebody that you look up to that you just think is awesome, like a mentor to you? And you can pick more than one person. I would love it if you would give me somebody who's famous, or like maybe 2 or 3 people that are famous that you really look up to, and then maybe 1 or 2 people that aren't famous that you really look up to.
So 3 people that I look up to that are famous are, let's see, definitely Daniel Sandoval. Okay. Because that guy is pretty good on a bike, and I've been to his house before.
Yeah.
And
I have to also say, as a mom, it's very cool to see him. Well, when we saw him at the skate park, you were like, oh my gosh, Daniel Sandoval, this is so cool. So I took your guys' picture and stuff. He was so sweet. He was so kind. He was very gracious. And he does invite you over, when the guys are over there doing stuff. And I think that is really super cool. I think it really puts him at a personal level. And he also went to the same school that you went to, or that you go to currently. He went to Roosevelt. He grew up in Eastvale. So I think there's a lot of cool connections there. Okay, so Daniel Sandoval's one.
And then I think Probably Pat Casey.
Pat Casey.
Yeah.
Pat Casey, who recently passed away, though, correct?
Yeah.
That was really sad.
7 months ago, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, was it? It's already been 7 months?
Yeah.
That was really sad.
Yeah.
He had an accident, right, at his home?
No, at Axel Hodges' sleigh ground compound.
Got it, which is like in Axel's backyard.
No, not really. It's his property. It's a dirt bike.
Oh.
FMX place. So like it's where they go and do all the flips and stuff like that.
Yep.
Just have really big jumps, and I'm pretty sure he cased one of them, and then the bike crushed him and he died.
Ugh, it was terrible. That was really, really heartbreaking. I remember you being really sad about that.
Yeah.
Who's the other one?
Dennis Anderson.
That's a name I haven't heard. So tell me more about him. What's his deal? I mean, in a nutshell.
So he's sponsored by Rockstar.
Okay.
And he's also sponsored by Vans, but he just has like a lot of flow, like in his writing. Like it's just really clean. Like it's like nothing I've ever seen before.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah.
And who are maybe, 2 or 3 people who aren't pro or aren't famous yet that you really look up to?
So one person that isn't pro, I think there's actually only one person though.
Okay.
And I think that's Matthew Murata. Like that. Yeah, because he's just like always trying to be the best. Like that's good. Like and he's already sponsored by Monster Army. Like he has the goal that I have already, and I think that like he'll be competing in like Red Bull Rampage or like Hardline. Like he'll be up there. I'm pretty sure. 100%.
He's amazing. Not only is he an awesome writer, and if you guys don't follow Carson or Matthew, I highly recommend you do so. It's just really neat to see the stuff. Even if you're not into BMX or biking or anything, the stuff that these kids do, it's incredible. Matthew and Carson are really good friends. We're good friends with their family. We absolutely love them. One thing that I think is awesome about you, and it was funny, I was thinking about things that I wanted to ask you and things that I wanted to say, is one of the things that you're really good at is cheering other people on. And I think because I'm a firm believer of you get what you give, because you're constantly giving accolades and attaboys and come on, you can do this and you're amazing and you're going to do great and stuff like that. I think that you get that back in the form of great friends like Matthew and many of your other friends too. You have great friends. You really do. I tell you all the time that you have really good core group of friends. But you even do it in water polo. When somebody else would score, you're like, hey man, good job. Like from across the pool, you're cheering and rooting other people on. And I think that sets you apart from your peers. And I'm really proud of you.
Yeah. Well, I think what's different between me and Matthew though, is that like I think we share the how much we like and love biking.
Yes.
So I think that we're always like, if someone's scared to do something, that we're gonna push each other towards to do.
Yes.
Like when we were in Sheep Hills and Matthew wanted to backflip that dirt jump in, and he said if you did it first, I would do it, and then I did it, and then he built up the courage to do it. Yep,
for sure. And then when you guys were going over the ramps and stuff, he was like, come on, Carson, you can do it. You got to do this. You got to pedal faster. Like, you guys are always making each other better. And I think that's the difference between like just surface level friends and like real true friends. And you don't see Matthew all the time. You guys don't go to the same school. We don't live super close. We live close, but we don't live super close. Like you don't see him all the time. But the fact that you guys sit here and root each other on and share each other's stuff on social media and stuff, I think that your guys' relationship is a real true testament as to how relationships should be. So
yeah,
you guys are good kids. Well, thank you for coming on my podcast and talking all the things with me. Would you come back?
Yeah, probably.
Okay, cool. We'll have to have you back. It's just hard with your school schedule. Maybe we'll have to do like a no school day and come podcast and go have breakfast in Yogurtland.
Sounds good to me.
I love you, Boo. Thanks for being on.
I love you too. Thank you.
Of course.